Good morning. How is everyone?
Good morning.
Yeah, thanks for being here, guys. So today, you know what our training is going to be about. It's going to be about using the ultimate leverage, which is hiring admins to help you. You're busy. You guys are probably really busy, just like I am. And at a certain point in your career, what you're going to realize is I can't keep going like this. I'm working all day long. And what ends up happening is I'm burnt out. And so having other people to help you is really going to take your business to a whole nother level. And that's why I'm here today. I want to help you guys stop being burnt out. I want to give you the opportunity to spend more time with your family and do your hobbies and have fun in life, because life isn't meant to be working all the time. However, in our real estate profession, it could turn into that very, very quickly. So we have to learn to take control. All right, the top 3 things that we're going to learn about today is where to find these admins. You have a couple choices, and there's a lot of qualifications that you need to take a look at. How to onboard them and to train them. And the last one is how to keep them. So those are the 3 topics we're going to be covering today. There's a lot more that we could go through, but we only have our 55 minutes. So we're going to make sure that we get through all of this. Licensed or not. So that's one of the first questions that I want to ask you. What will these people be doing? Like how will how much help do you need? What do you need help in? Do you need help with showing houses? Do you need help with open houses? Or do you just need help with installing lock boxes and signs and setting up showings and reaching out for client follow-up and setting up home inspections? Because if you're looking for them to do licensed activities, well, then they're going to have to be licensed. Now, you have to keep in mind that licensed people are going to cost you more. But the benefit is that you can actually pay them at closing. You see, in the state of Virginia, DC, and Maryland, we're not allowed to have admin do licensed activities and pay them per closing. They have to be paid an hourly wage or dollar per hour, whatever per task, but it can't be based on a closing. Now, if you have a licensed agent admin, well, then you can pay them based upon your closing. Because a lot of people say to me, well, I don't have enough money. Well, if you hire a licensed person, you could absolutely pay them only when you get paid. So there are some downsides to that as well. But the other side is, no, I don't want my person licensed. I don't need to have a licensed person, and I'm okay paying them a salary or a dollar per hour. Okay. So my experience with licensed assistant, everybody asks me this: bonus capable of more. So will you allow them to do sales? Because here's what's going to happen. Okay, this is my experience. When I've had licensed assistants, they always want to do their own sales because they want to make more money. Actually, right? What do you think is going to happen when you're in a situation, and I'll give you one of mine, when I had 3 days left to finish all my 1099s, and my admin was like, hey, I got to go show houses. And I'm left there working till 1 o'clock in the morning, getting it all done and just feeling frustrated because it's going to happen. What happens in the middle of the day when you have activities that you need to get done, and then they're answering the phone call of their clients? You have to think about this, okay? Referral fees. How is that going to work? Are they going to be answering the phone? Are you going to give them referral fees? They're going to ask, but they're also answering the phone. So how's that going to work? Everybody, all the agents in the office, including yourself, will feel shorted if you're constantly giving this person referral fees for simply answering the phone that you paid to make ring. Something you need to think about. Will always choose their sales over your admin work. As I already mentioned, they're always going to choose their sales because they're making more money. They always promise not to do their work on your time, but they always do. Everyone promises, oh, I promise during your time I will only focus on your work, but then their phone rings or something's going on and they can't help it. So they end up answering the phone and doing their work. They can't help it, guys. Now, I will say there are situations where a licensed person can be an admin. That would be ISA, TC, and LC. All right, what are those? Your inside sales agent, your transaction coordinator, and your listing coordinator. Why? Because those are paid per task. We're not letting them bill us from 12 to 4, they're on my time. Nope. They're actually just doing their work and they get paid at the end when the transaction closes. And the cool part is we don't care if they answer the phone on their time, on our time, because there is no our time. They're being paid per task. So my suggestion would be for you to, if you're going to hire a licensed person, that you give them these 3 roles and let them work from home, and then you don't have to worry about it. However, if you want to have a licensed assistant and you want to offer them referral fees and things like that, you just need to pay attention to what could happen in the long run. Because I learned from my mistakes, guys. I love to share what I've done wrong so that I can better you guys, so that you don't do it. So if you want a licensed person, your local Facebook realtor groups are 100% the easiest way to find people, because there are lots of struggling agents that could use more money and they would love this. Agent networking is another one. Go ahead.
I have a question. So one of the agents in my office asked if they could do part-time work. She doesn't do that many closings a year. But what do you think about that?
Thank you, Michaela. That is a really great question. And for anybody in the back, guys, that didn't hear what Michaela said, she is asking, she has a person in her office that's wanting more part-time work. Gosh, I've been there so many times. Thank you for that question. So here's my suggestion. I would put them on the ISA, TC, or LC position, because you don't have to worry about them. If they're doing their TC work and they're in your office and then their phone rings, you're not going to care, because at the end of the day, the TC work will still get done. So that would be my suggestion. And does anybody else have anything else? All right. Okay, great. Perfect. So let's move on, guys. Unlicensed VA or local. All right. So let's say you decide to go a VA, or you decide to go local. Which one do you want to go? VA or local? Let's talk about it. I got to tell you guys the truth. I'm going to be honest with you and tell you I'm a little bit stubborn. And I had a coach that told me for years to go VA. And I kept saying, no, I really love to shop local and I want to help my local community. And I just want somebody in-house where I can like sit across from them and we can work together. That was years and years and years of turnover, because in America, admin work is kind of the bottom of the food chain. I mean, it's like a low-paying job, and it's usually for young people, or it's you that are starting off their career and they want to learn, or older people who are winding down a career and they're like, hey, I just want nice, easy work. I don't really want to have any stress anymore. And so with that, it's kind of going to be a change of people, and that's kind of costly, and it's also a little bit frustrating. So I was going through that, and my coach kept saying, go VA, and I was like, no. And then I finally did. And I have to tell you guys, I wish that I would have listened to him so much earlier. So I'm just saying you might want to try VAs. Okay. And I'm going to tell you why. In other countries, VA position is a high paying job. It's actually a career. It's a great thing. And anybody overseas is going to want to stay in this position for a longer period of time. Whereas in America, that is a very low paying job. And people, it's kind of a starter position. And so for that, you're going to have longer people working with you if you find the right people. They're going to stay with you a lot longer, because this is a great career for them and they make really good money. And you and I will have the opportunity to help change their lives, which is really important to me. Okay, so average time staying versus, the local versus the virtual assistant. Do they need to be on site, or are you system task based? Okay, so again, if you have everything on paper checklist, you're probably going to need to have a local person because you have everything on paper. But if you can convert those to online based systems, then guess what happens? They don't have to work in your office. They don't have to be right next to you, because everything is online and it's a check list, and they just cross it off, and you know what gets done and what doesn't. And how easy is that, right? So again, one of the questions that you will need to look at your own business is, what type of systems do you have and how you can convert them to online, which is very, very important. Where will they work? Some people don't have offices. I've actually known people that have brought their admins to their home. Again, I'm just going to tell you guys, I've had a lot of experience with this. I have a lot of experience with a lot of admins, and they will be your best friend one day, and then they will literally do stupid things later. So I personally wouldn't have anyone in my house, and I'm going to tell you why. You know, I mean, I've had really bad situations happen to me with some local people. And then the problem with me as well is, you know, when you have to let someone go because, oh, I don't know, they're sleeping on the desk and you come in and you're like, hey, what's going on? Or is this like, this isn't good, you know, or they leave because they're unhappy about, you know, they wanted a pay raise that was just not, it didn't make sense. And so you couldn't handle that. Or I had a girl that wanted to work from home, and I was like, I didn't hire you to work from home. I hired you to work here, and I didn't know that was going to be ever come up. You never mentioned it, and she was angry at me. I'm not sure why, but of course, when I go out and about, sometimes I see these people, and that's kind of uncomfortable as well. So it's something that you have to remember. If things go bad and then they're in your house, it's a total different dynamics. So I would never put business in my house. So if you're going to have a local person, you either allow them to work from home or you have an office. That's just how it works. You're going to have one or the other. Don't bring them to your home. Okay. VA benefits versus the benefits of local. Oh my gosh, there's so many benefits. Again, as I already mentioned, the longevity is there. The separation is there. You know, again, this is business. When you have to let go of a local person, there is a lot of laws you have to follow. You don't have to follow those laws with a VA. Okay, so that's a huge benefit. Not having to go through the hoops and the jumps and the ladders to get through letting someone go. You don't have to deal with the emotions. One time I had a young guy, he was in college. He was actually my very first admin, and a really great guy, young guy, did everything that I wanted. It's just, he didn't do anything above that at all. And I kind of felt like I didn't need him. And so I let him go. And his mom showed up in my office yelling at me, like, what did her son do wrong? And I was like, oh my goodness, your son didn't do anything wrong. I just don't need him at this moment, and I'm really sorry. But you know, to deal with those kind of things is always fun as well. I've got a million stories, guys. It's not really fun. All right, so where to find your admin? If you're gonna go with a VA, well, then there's lots of groups online that you can use. Okay, you've got your Facebook VA groups; those are wonderful. So I would highly advise you to take care of that. There are companies that will hire for you. In fact, one of my best and VAs actually came from a company. I went through a company. I don't even remember the name of the company anymore. But I went through that company and I kept him for a year. And then after that year, we brought him on full time and, you know, got rid of the company, which was great because the company wasn't really paying him that much. And it was really nice to be able to help his family. And he was wonderful. So still with me to this day. So yeah, companies that hire for you are good.
Two questions.
Sure.
One, the first one is, I have my brother who wants to work with me as my admin. What do you think about that?
You know what? Thank you, Diana, for that question. I really appreciate that question. And for anybody who didn't hear in the back, Diana says her brother wants to work with her. I think I fired just about everybody in both my husband and my family. A lot of people. It's really uncomfortable. In fact, I'm going to be honest with you and tell you, my sister didn't talk to me for a whole year. But it's really hard when you're working with family. We're about to get to that slide. So just everybody know I'm about to talk more about that. So let's wait just one moment if you don't mind, because we're going to talk about that. That's a tricky one, okay? So Upwork is another good one, onlinejobs.ph, virtual staff finder, that's another good one. We have a lot of other Facebook groups. If anybody needs that information, just simply write me and I will get that information to you. Now, local, here's a good one, Indeed, again, social media. Now, here's the trick. Here's the trick. I don't want to work with anyone I know. I'm just being honest with you guys. I am, and you will be the same way too. When it's your money, you're investing in a person. You're going to want to make sure that that person is actually doing the work, right? You want to make sure that that person is doing the work. And a lot of times when it's your family and friends, what they end up doing is, oh, I'm going to be late. It's not that big of a deal. Oh, she's my friend. Oh, she's my mom. She's my, my sister. She doesn't care. No, I have a business to run and I do care. People depend on us to get things done. But a lot of times when you're hiring, so here's my little trick. Here's my little trick. When I put it out on Facebook saying that I need somebody, and my friends and family will all come to me, oh, hey, I can do that. Or I hear this a lot, especially from the realtors in my office. My son can do this. My daughter can do this. It's the last person on earth I want to hire. Why? Because if things go wrong between me and that person, then I'm going to lose my agent too. I don't want to do that. So I want to keep those lines strictly drawn. And I don't want to have conflict with family. I love my family, and I don't want to have conflict with them. And it's very difficult, but you got to get things done. And when they're not performing, it becomes a big, big challenge. So I always tell people, this is my little trick. I'm like, oh, they need to be licensed. Sorry. And then people are like, oh, okay, I understand. Because I don't want to hire them. I don't want to talk. And I'm like, no, if they want to come to my classes, they're more than welcome to get licensed. And of course, when they get licensed, then we turn them into an agent, which is where they're going to make more money anyway. So Indeed, Wise Hire, those are great resources, just to let you know. Craigslist, other realtors. Oh my gosh, do you know how many times I've found amazing people from other, I've stolen a few admin every day, and it's pretty great. So anytime you can talk to other admins, it's amazing. In fact, I have an admin that I trained. She's from California originally, known her for years, and I've trained her. And she's actually moving here. And I'm like, oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. She's amazing because I trained her. And she's amazing, and I love her. So sometimes you get them from other people. She just happens to be moving here, which is just crazy. But all right. Who not to hire? This is where we came in, Diana. Thank you so much for your question. Who not to hire? People you know. People you like. Okay? Don't hire people you know. Anyone you value your relationship with. Okay? If you value your relationship. Because the problem is people's work ethics are not all the same. Some people think it's okay to miss work, be late. It's not okay. It's really not. We have things that we have to get done, and we're depending on the people that we hire to get them done. Bad attitude or complainers. Ooh, the worst thing in the world is to sit in an office or to deal with somebody that is complaining constantly. There is nothing worse than dealing with somebody who's constantly complaining. For me, I hire for attitude more so than even anything else. I'm okay with them not having the skill set if they have the good attitude. I like shiny, happy people. They make me happy, and then they make work better. Work is not fun for anybody. And so why not lighten it and make and a person with a good attitude makes life so much easier. And don't hire people you like. Don't hire people you like. Does experience matter? Again, experience is great. I would love to have experience. So for example, if I'm going to have somebody that's going to be my database manager, they don't specifically have to have real estate experience, but I would love for them to have database experience. But I will tell you guys at the end of the day, the most important thing is that they have that right positive attitude. That matters more to me than anything else. Technology. Now, this is a really big one for me. I could tell you stories about this as well. You guys would never believe. but we need to make sure that their technology's savvy to a degree. I mean, they have to know how to print, they have to know how to save, and you guys may think that's basic, but I promise you there are people out there that do not know how to do anything on a computer, and they will tell you that they do. And then they don't. I can't tell you how many times I've hired people, and in the first 2 days, I've let them go. That has happened more times than I even care to share, because they come in telling me that they know how to do things, and then they don't know how to do anything, and it's basic. So after that happened to me, probably more times than I should share, I changed my my interview process, and I chose to make them demonstrate that they know how to print. They know how to go onto Google and pull an image. They know how to crop it down. They know what PowerPoint is and how to pull up a PowerPoint presentation. Little basics that I know that I need in my business, I make them do that upfront before I hire them. Okay, so that would be my strong recommendation, because I've been through this. The DISC profile. All right, so let's talk about this a little bit. DISC profile, if you don't know about the DISC profile, you better study the DISC profile, because this is the most important thing, I think, in hiring. Very important that you understand how the DISC profile works. And I have to tell you guys, for a long time, I'm a very high D. I'm a D on the DISC profile. I'm very high D. I do things my way. I do things fast, and I don't want anybody getting in my way. Okay, that's just D personality. Don't talk to me that much. I've got stuff to do, and I don't have time for that. Not really friendly, I'm sorry. But it's my personality, okay? And I always stayed away from D on the DISC profile admin. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I thought that they would just challenge me too much. I thought that they were going to constantly question me, and I was going to get just ticked off because, you know, unless you have more experience than me, then do what I tell you. Okay. Other than that, you know, if you've got more experience, I'm all ears. Okay. But most of the time, the person in an admin role does not have more experience than us. And so that's why they're there. And that's okay. But if in the learning stage, they need to listen. Right? So I always said, I'm not hiring a D. And then I have to tell you guys, I hired a D. I gave him a chance. And it turned out to be amazing. And now I have D's all around me. Now, the bad thing about D's, we're all the same. We don't spell check. We don't do grammar. We don't care. Okay? It's just the way we are. We don't care. You know, so you might need to have somebody that's a little bit on the SC side to slow down. Now, where would I hire an SC? A C specifically is my accountant. That is a person who's doing all of the numbers. They're a little bit slower, they're more meticulous, and they're really careful. A person like me is not good with that. Okay, so D's are not good for that. So you would know the DISC profile and then know what you need. And then from there, you could decide what profile fits the personality fits the role you'll have them play. If you're needing somebody to write up lots of, Word documents and things, you probably don't want an ID. Okay. That's not something that I do a lot. So it's okay. I like D's because they're fast paced like me. Okay. But if you're not a fast paced person, a D's probably going to drive you nuts. So know yourself and know others. How do you find insider information? Oh my gosh, guys, go to their social media pages and stalk the heck out of them. Okay, stalking comes sometimes as bad, but not in this case. You want to know if this person is really a hateful person. Do you want that in your office? Do you want a controversial person who's constantly causing fights? No, you got to be really careful who you're bringing in your culture. And your little circle has to be really, it's so important to have the right people in there or chaos happens, right? The culture gets off. You get off. Your personality and your stress levels will be based upon that. Here's another one. The way they walk, the way they talk, and the questions that they ask. I like people who walk fast. If you're walking fast, that tells me you get things done. If you're just moseying along, that means you're going to take your time on everything. And that may not be a good thing for me. If you're a real slow talker, you're going to drive me nuts. Okay, I'm just being honest with you. I will deal with you like, as a client or whatever. I'm super cool with that. But if you're in an office experience with me all day and I have to listen to you talk super slow, I am gonna lose my mind. You could be on the other end. You could say, hey, I don't like fast talkers. That's okay. Whatever makes you happy and makes you more comfortable and less stress is what you're looking for. So that's what I'm looking for. How fast they walk and how fast they talk. That is so important to me. All right, now let's go on to our next one where we talk about staff training. How do we train people? Okay, this is a really big one because a lot of times people say to me, I don't want to hire anybody because I hired somebody and it went all wrong and I don't want to train them again. Okay, automate the system, guys. Systematize everything. All right, so I use Trello. All right, and I'm more than happy to share this with you. But we have Trello. So what we have is a giant checklist and it's called staff onboarding card. And so any new employee that we get, we give them a copy of the staff onboarding card. And they have to go through and they have to watch. Now you'll notice in some of these, there are videos. In fact, it's been updated since then. So there's a lot more videos in there. So they get to go down the list and watch the videos. Do you think I care if I replace them tomorrow? No, if they're not working out, let them go. The worst thing you could do, and again, I suffer from this. I kept a girl for 5 whole years. My coach actually asked me that, he said to me, I must have in a past life done something terrible to her and I'm trying to make it up. He's like, why do you keep her? I'm like, I don't even know. Guys, I bought her a car. I don't know why I kept her for so long when she was terrible. She was terrible at everything. I mean, just terrible at everything. She wouldn't show up half the time. I don't know. I just kept her forever. I tried so hard to help her. And guys, you can't help people who don't want to help themselves. Okay. And by the way, this girl was older than me. So you'd think she'd have had her life together, but she didn't. So let them go as quick as possible. And this is how you do it. When you have this already put together, do you think it's going to matter? Now, if you're sitting one-on-one and spending a whole week of your life training somebody, yeah, you're going to be really upset if that person leaves because you've just invested a lot of time and energy and lost sales because you're investing in this person. And then the person leaves. Don't let that happen to you. You shouldn't be spending more than a few hours training people. Have your systems do this.
Can I get a copy of this staff onboarding checklist?
Marshall, thank you so much for asking that. And for anybody who didn't hear in the back, Marshall's asking if he can have a copy of this. 100%, guys, all of you are welcome to a copy of this. Just let me know and I'll give you a copy of it. I'll give you a copy of all my checklists. If that makes your life easier, it took me years to make them and I'm going to give them to you free. But wait, no, just kidding. All right, clarify all of your rules. Believe it or not, all of my rules, and I think I have 70 rules, are because somebody did them. You wouldn't believe the things that I have been through. And I had to make a rule. All right, I'm like, okay, there's a new one. Let me make a rule for that. Okay, you wouldn't think you'd have to put all these rules together, but you really do, unfortunately. So again, dress for success. You wouldn't believe I'd have to tell people that, but I do. Be the gatekeeper. Do not allow random people to come into the office without knowing who they are. Yep, I've had people who just let random people come into the office and they're walking around. Who is this person? We don't even know who this person is and they're walking around our office. Be the gatekeeper. Okay, little things like that really matter. So I can, again, share that with you. All right, more. Look at all these videos that I have here. Look at all these videos. If marketing is your job, watch this. Admin marketing, marketing weeks 2 and 3, weeks 2 marketing, pre-marketing short sale, internet marketing, CRM marketing, demographic marketing. I mean, we can keep on going, guys. Look at all of these videos. So if I'm hiring somebody for marketing, I just want them to go through and check all of those off that they watched every single one of my videos. And the cool part is those videos stay there. So if I'm asking them this morning, I need you to do a demographic marketing plan for me for this particular area. They forgot, it's been weeks. They can go back and pull it back up. They don't need to stop me and say, I'm sorry, I forgot how to do that again. And then I have to spend hours working with them. No, No. I've already got a video on that. Now, one of the most important things I can tell you guys is do not go out of your way to make these marketing or any video, really. You wake up in the morning, you have your list to do. You simply record what you're doing that day, one at a time. Oh, I've got a contract to write up. Here, let me just work on this offer that I have. I'm going to go ahead and record the screen so that anybody in the future that needs to learn how to write up an offer is going to learn. So I'm already doing that. Oh, I've got to put together a short sale marketing plan today. So let me do that. And I'm just going to go ahead and record the screen. What do you think happens over the next 6 months, year? You've got a nice collection, don't you? And you can use those. And that's how you do it.
I have a question.
Thank you, Michaela. What can I do for you?
So I have something similar in my office, but I've found that people will just tell me that they watched it and then they don't know how to do anything and nothing is getting done that's in the videos. How do you ensure that they watched it?
Oh my goodness. All right. So for anybody who didn't hear, thank you. That's a really good question. And I'm excited to share with you my secret. So for anybody who didn't hear in the back, I see you back there going like this. Michaela is actually asking, how do we ensure that people actually watch this? Are you ready for my trick? I buried keywords in there. So what I'll say is the secret password is balloon. Make sure you text balloon to Sarah. Now, if I don't get these passwords, what do you think is happening? They're not watching it. They're not watching it. And at that point, I would know. The second thing that I do, okay, is when that morning comes that I'm saying, hey, today, this is on our list to do, guys. We got to do this. We got to do that. These are the things these are the projects that we got going on. And when someone says, hey, I don't remember how to do that. All I say is, oh, it's in your onboarding. Go check it out. Like that. And you know what's beautiful? I even use these for my agents, not just staff. But when you have a team and they say, you know what, I really want to learn how, or my listing is not selling. And I say, oh, did you do some demographic marketing? What's that? I go on my phone to my Loom account, pull the video and text it to them. Bam. That just saved me an hour of my life, 2 hours of my life sometimes, right? Now they can pull this up. So this will save you guys incredible amounts of time if you just invest every single day, just a little bit of time to record what you're already doing. Record what you've already done. Now, don't make the mistake that I did, by the way. I forgot to put as notes what's on that video. And so poor Manny, he had to go in and watch. I'm like, Manny, I did these 3 weeks ago and I have no idea what I put on them. I didn't type good notes. I just put a title on it. But I don't even know what I said in there. And so he would have to go through and take notes on it, which was great too, because then he was learning as well, but it really helped me. So make sure that from the beginning, you're actually taking notes and being very specific. Share your calendar. Oh, I can't even tell you how powerful of this one is for me. Making sure you're sharing your calendar. And the reason why is because they need to be knowing what you're doing at all time. They need to help you plan. They need to put appointments on your calendar, and they should know what's going on. So like in my office, when I'm on the phone, nobody calls me because they can already see I'm on the phone. So they're not blowing up my phone for some reason because they can already see what I'm doing. Plus, they can help me plan, which is really, really important. Videos on your system. You have to have videos on your systems. If you don't, and by the way, most of those I get from YouTube or from the actual systems help me files. I just move them down into my own Trello board so that it's just so much easier. Okay, so that's what I've done, and it's really worked out great for me. What to do with listings, what to do with buyer, how to do TC work. I have an entire training session on how to be the world's best TC, the world's best ISA, and the world's best LC. Now, if they're going to be doing front desk, what is expected? Okay, I always tell people when they walk in the door, I'm a neat freak. I like my office to be beautiful, fully stocked, beautiful. I like everything in its place. If I come in and the office is a mess, I get a little bit frustrated and a little stressed out. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, that's our representation of ourselves. And we have to make it look good for anyone who walks in. We want people to have great first impressions of us. Very, very important. Will they be recruiting for you? If you're building a team and they're going to be recruiting, they need to have the script, systems, and expectations. You can't suddenly fire somebody because they're not producing, but you didn't tell them what the expectation was. My very favorite, guys, conflicts arise when expectations differ. If everybody's on the same page, there is no conflict. But when the expectation is here and the other expectation is here, you're going to have disagreements. And you want to avoid those. Just get everybody on the same page up front. Hey, this is my expectation. I'm expecting you to bring in 2 appointments a day. If they don't show up, that's okay, but I need to have 2 appointments a day. And by the end of the week, my expectation is for at least 5 people to have shown up, right? As an example. All right, maintaining the wheel. Okay, so again, how do we maintain this wheel? How do we keep this wheel going? Daily huddle. Why? If you don't have a daily huddle, so Michael Hulkson taught me this one, and if you guys don't know who he is, you can look him up. He was the #1 sales person in the entire world for many years, and he is phenomenal. And I will tell you, he tells me to this day, inspect what you expect. If I'm not going in and checking in and helping keep the boat moving, the boat will not move, okay? In my life, at some point, I'd like the boat to move without me. That's my goal. But so far, I haven't got there. It does take a little nudging from me and kind of directions to get where I'm going, to keep the boat in line, okay? So you have that daily huddle to check in. You have that daily huddle to keep the boat moving in the right direction, okay? Weekly brainstorming, feedback, suggestions. And we have to appreciate. Now, you have to remember, guys, if you're asking for feedback, you have to be big enough to receive it. Nobody's perfect. You have to understand if somebody's giving you feedback, try to learn from that. Try to learn from it and try to be better in some way. It's usually never the person. It's usually the system. So anytime coaching clients come to me and they say, I'm really frustrated with my admin. I know it's usually not the admin. Sometimes it is. Sometimes there's just, we did a bad hire. Most of the time it's the systems. We don't have it right. We're not doing our daily huddle. We're not checking with them. We didn't set the expectations. And with that, you're going to be frustrated. And then it's funny because I say, well, let me have a time with your admin. And then when I talk to the admin, they're like, I'm frustrated. And I'm like, all right, well, we're here to solve that. You're going to tell me what your frustrations are, and let's put together some systems that you both can use so you both aren't frustrated anymore, right? That's what it's all about. So you have to be willing to listen to what they're saying. If they're saying, look, I hate this system sucks. We say, all right, well, why don't we take some time every week and explore some other systems and see what else we can do? Oh, this isn't happening in the office. I'm really frustrated at this other admin because they're not doing this. It's not the person, it's the system. The system is broken and we have to find how to fix that system. What can we do to solve that problem? If they think you're not checking, a lot of times they won't do anything. And so that's really important. There are those people out there who just take advantage of other people, right? I call it theft, if you ask me, because they're stealing from you personally. However, they're out there. So you got to check. If you're not checking and then you're frustrated 3 weeks later because a project didn't get done, you got to check the whole way and make sure, stay on top of it until that person really earns your trust, that you're very comfortable that when you tell them to do something, they're going to follow through and get it done. You got to keep checking. Inspect what you expect. There it is. Michael Hulkson taught me that. So I schedule myself weekly to check our transaction checklist. I have to just peek at it, make sure that things are getting done on it, take a look at what's going on with our transaction, because unfortunately half the time I don't know. The important to do Trello board. So we have an important to do board, which all of my staff have their own weekly to do cards. And I have to make sure that the weekly stuff is getting done because it's designed to be proactive. If not, we end up in situations where there's emergencies. Oh my God, we run out of toilet paper. Well, you're supposed to be doing the inventory every week. We wouldn't run out of toilet paper if we do that, and suddenly we have to run to the store, stop what we're doing. So you want to make sure that the important to do, and of course, toilet paper is low on the list, guys, but I'm just using that as an example. Our marketing. Did our marketing slow down? What's going on with it? Are we still doing a great job of social media? Or what's our Google views? Have they gone up? Have they gone down? What about our social media views? Have they gone up? They've gone down. You got to take a look at this stuff. Okay. And again, it's usually the system is broken. To fix the system. Okay. Calls made. Oh, this is the big one. People in my office don't always make their calls. And so when I'm on there and I look at the CRM and I see that there are 0 calls from that person, then I pick up the phone and say, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? Everything okay? What's going on? And check in with them. And maybe it's because they're sick and I need to check in on them. Maybe their mental health is taking a toll. Maybe they've got family issues. There could be things like that I need to check in on. Or they might just have gotten off track. They might be burnt out. We got to check in and make sure everything's going okay. Leads entered and maintained. This is really important. Your database is a gold mine if you use it correctly. Social media posts, as I mentioned, and agent spotlight and appreciation. If you have a team, you absolutely need to appreciate and love your team. You need to show the world your team is amazing. And so that's one of the things that we do. We do agent spotlights. This week, we want to talk about this particular agent. Their favorite cake is pancakes, whatever. They have 2 dogs and a wife at home. So there it is. Quarterly checkups. You've got to set new goals. If you don't have goals, then where are people going, right? Everybody enjoys looking forward to something. And so if I say, hey, here's our goals for this quarter, we have to do this, 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 and then we meet them, everybody's happy. But if nobody has any goals, we're not trying, right? So you got to set those new goals. What happens when they reach the goals? You should always have a celebration of some sort because goals are very important. But there's always going to be consequences if we don't meet the goals. Now, one of the things you don't want to do is set those goals too high. Make sure they're attainable, okay? And other than that, you have to have consequences if they don't meet them. So that's not good if you're not meeting our goals. Is it the system? Is it the people? What could be causing that? So very, very important that you inspect that. What task, I like to ask, what tasks do you enjoy and what do you not? So every person that works with me, I try to find what they excel at. That's the most important thing, what they enjoy doing and what they excel at. And the reason why is because if I find what they excel at, then I can give them more of that, right? But if I'm constantly giving them things that they don't like and that it's their weakness, they're not going to be happy and I'm not going to be happy because they're not doing a good job at it. So there are some people that I move all around until I find the right position for them. And then when I do, they tend to be happier because I found their strengths. And so it's very important that you're making sure that people are working within their strengths. Okay? Discuss what areas they excel, discuss where they can improve. And now you have to handle this carefully because most people like lay it on me. If I have something that I'm not good at, just tell me, I'll do what I can to fix it. Right? But not everybody has that external strength, that or internal strength, whatever. No, but not everybody has it. A lot of people are sensitive. So you got to handle it really carefully when you talk about people's weaknesses, because a lot of times they don't like that. They don't like you telling them that they don't do a good job at something. They think that you are criticizing them. But in reality, we all have our strengths and weaknesses. And so that's okay. So there we go. Maybe their weakness could be delegated to somebody else. I would love that, right? Discuss their happiness and their personal goals and see if you can find a win-win to help them. One of my favorite things is to help people achieve whatever goal they have. It's just my favorite thing to do And so when you stop, and there's nothing more to someone else to feel loved and appreciated than to try to help them meet their goals. Okay, so always discuss what their personal goals is, and all you have to do is put it on your calendar, guys. Every quarter, sit down with them, schedule it out already on your calendar, and then you have it already, and you can put it on repeat if you've got those Google deals, right? Keeping your assistant. How do we keep them? How do we keep them? By having goals, and we all work together and celebrating our wins together. Okay, when we're celebrating together. You know, I worked at this job, and I have to tell you, if I was a few minutes late, and I got to tell you, I worked really far, an hour from my house. Okay, it was an hour from my house, but I really loved the company, and I wanted to be there. But my boss, he would yell at me if I was a few minutes late, and after a while, it took a toll on me. And I was just like, gosh, I just sat through so much traffic, and I did everything. I even left early today, you know, and I was some things you can't be like that. Okay. You got to create an environment, not saying that being late every day is okay, but if they're late every once in a while and they're a great worker and they're a great, you know, person for your company, you got to be able to let that stuff go a little bit. Just a little bit, right? If they mess up every once in a while, they're going to mess up. They're going to mess up. I mean, it happens. You got to give that leeway a little bit and make it a more enjoyable working atmosphere. It deepens the bond, and it makes them want to say, I would have stayed at that company because I love that company. I loved the president. I loved everybody there. But my boss just harping on little stuff just kind of drove me nuts. And it was like, gosh, I don't want to be here anymore. And then I left, and he begged me to come back. And I just told him, like, I just can't. You harp on me over the littlest things, and I just can't do it. Now, looking back, that was when I was really young, guys. I think I was probably 18 years old at that time. The reality is I should have had those conversations earlier, and I didn't. I should have said to him, hey, this is how you make me feel. He never also reached out to me and said, hey, how can I improve? And so I challenge you guys to ask your admins, your staff, your team, how can you improve? And so I love to do that. You know what? All right, lay it on me. Remember their children's birthday. Remember their birthday. Remember their family's birthday. Find out what kind of food they like. This is so important. Find out what kind of coffee they like. Find out little things about them. And it'll make a huge difference in your relationship. And when they like who they work with, they want to give more. Listen to their concerns and help where you can. All right, here it is, guys. Does anybody have any questions before we continue? Anybody? Everybody good? Awesome. Okay. If you don't mind, I would be willing to give you all of this. If you're willing to give me a 5-star review, I call this my ethical brag, just FYI. So I'm hoping that you guys will help me out with a review. And if you do, just reach out and we'll get you all of these things as a nice thank you for helping us. Does anybody else have any questions? Are we good? Did anybody feel like they've learned anything? Thank you. That's awesome.
I do have one question.
Okay.
When would you know that it's time to hire?
That is a great question, Diana. That is great. I probably should add a slide on that. All right. So just for anybody of you guys who couldn't hear, Diana said, how do you know you need an assistant? I'm going to tell you, when you feel that you're overwhelmed. There it is. Now, everybody says to me, I don't have the money. You never will until you hire. You see, for me, there's a lot of things that I don't want to do, and I won't do them. And I'll wait, and then they don't get done. And that doesn't help my business. Then when I hire somebody and I give it to them, they get it done, and then things seem to move faster. I always tell people, when there's anything you can't get done, hire somebody. It'll work. And you're gonna say, I don't have the money, but you don't understand. You're not gonna have the money until you get that leverage. It doesn't work in the reverse. People are always like, I'm gonna wait until I have money. It doesn't work that way. You've got to do it in the reverse. You have to hire somebody first, then you get the money. It doesn't work the other way. People don't get this. So very, very important that we all understand that when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're working long hours, and this was for me. I remember sitting somewhere, guys, I don't remember where it was. I was in some kind of classroom, of course, and the person up front said, until you let go of the $10 an hour activities, you will always make $10 an hour. And I thought, that makes sense. If I'm doing all of these little things that have to be done, I'm taking away from the big things that have to be done. And so if the little things are overwhelming me and taking away from the big thing, now, if I hire somebody to do all the little stuff and then I just go shopping all day, well, I mean, that's not going to get me anywhere either. But if I replace the time, because we all have the same amount of time every single day, every last one of us, you know, unless you sleep in until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you usually will have the same amount of time as everybody else. And so with that in mind, look at all these people making billions of dollars every year. They have the same amount of time as we do. It's what they're doing differently. If you want to be a higher producing agent, you have to let go of all of the little tasks. Does that make sense? Everybody good with that? Makes sense, right? I promise you it'll change your life. Leverage. You need to get it, right? Thank you guys so much for today. I really appreciate it. And you guys know my phone number. If you ever need anything, I'm always here for you. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.